Because the teacher's job should be to take you to the point where you can understand that you are not hearing from your teacher to hear from the Most High, but you are supposed to hear from the Most High for yourself. And so, if Elisha said, "No, I'm not going to stay here, I'm coming with you," you think the understanding in the text is that Elisha was following Elijah. He did that all his life. He wasn't at this point following Elijah anymore, although the text is showing that he walked with him and they two went. Shabbat Shalom, this is Yalak. Today's date is December 1st, 2017. My lesson today is titled, Elijah Said, Stay Here. This lesson is going to talk about when you were different. As I got out of bed this morning, I thought about just being different because, like with my own teachings, I'm beginning to express some things that are a little bit different. Normally, when you hear people questioning the scriptures, you might say that person is an unbeliever, they're a sinner, they're an atheist, or they're one of these Kemet guys fighting down the Bible and so on. Yet, you will also teach others that the Torah teaches that in order to find wisdom, you should be questioning things. And so I'm going through that stage now where I'm really seriously questioning some things in Torah because I'm digging and searching for things. So if you think I'm against the Torah, then you're really misunderstanding what I'm doing. One thing is for sure, I will not be the same kind of teacher that you're used to hearing. So I'm going to be different in that kind of way. And while there might be some people, well, there are some people who are upset, I am already sure that there are some people who want what I have to offer because the Creator said, go offer this. So that's already settled in me. I'm not worried about the people who curse me, worried about those who come up against me, worried about those who think I'm different, I'm causing confusion in the body and all that kind of stuff. The Creator said, go do your stuff. And you're going to be different because that's how I made you to be. And it's kind of interesting too that I would come up talking about this different stuff because today's a different kind of day. This week is a different kind of week because my schedule got thrown off this week accommodating a different request from a client, and I made it through it and so on, but it kind of shook me up and this made me a little extra tired this week and so on, but I still went through the rest of my schedule for this week, but it just felt like a different kind of week. And it's also different today because I should be working today and tonight as well. And it just worked out that I won't be. So I got the whole day and evening free today. So it's a different kind of Friday because I normally wouldn't be here now making this recording at, it's 11 a.m. right now. So it feels kind of nice. So something kind of different about the day, and I end up getting up thinking about what's different. You see, because something is coming from the inside. I'm syncing with my life experience today. So you're getting something that's fresh from the inside. All right. So Elijah said, stay here. I'm going to show you why you should be different in your own life from how you have been all along, and how you should be different from what other people expect you to be. You're supposed to just be yourself. Now, I want to read probably a little bit long, 14 verses here, but I really want you to hear this. So from 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 1 to 14, hear what it says. And it came to pass when the Most High would take up Elijah into heaven by a whirlwind, that Elijah went with Elisha from Gilgal. And Elijah said unto Elisha, tarry here, I pray thee, for the Most High had sent me to Bethel. And Elisha said unto him, As the Most High liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they went down to Bethel. And the sons of the prophets that were at Bethel came forth to Elisha, and said unto him, Knowest thou not that the Most High will take away thy master from thy head today? And he said, Yea, I know it. Hold ye your peace. And Elijah said unto him, Elisha, tarry here, I pray thee. For the Most High sent me to Jericho. And he said, As the Most High liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they came to Jericho. And the sons of the prophets that were at Jericho came to Elisha, and said unto him, Knowest thou not that the Most High will take away thy master from thy head today? And he answered, Yea, I know it. Hold ye your peace. And Elijah said unto him, Tarry, I pray thee, here, for the Most High sent me to Jordan. And he said, As the Most High liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. And they two went on. And 50 men of the sons of the prophets went, and stood to view afar off, and they two stood by Jordan. And Elijah took his mantle, and wrapped it together, and smote the waters, and they were divided hither and thither, so that they two went over on dry ground. And it came to pass, when they were gone over, that Elijah said unto Elisha, Ask what I shall do for thee before I be taken away from thee. And Elisha said, I pray thee, let a double portion of thy spirit be upon me. And he said, Thou hast asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if thou see me when I am taken from thee, it shall be so unto thee, but if not, it shall not be so. And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. And Elisha saw it, and he cried, My father, the chariot of Israel and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more. And he took hold of his own clothes, and rent them in 2 pieces. He took up also the mantle of Elijah that fell from him, and went back and stood by the bank of Jordan. And he took the mantle of Elijah that fell from him, and smote the waters, and said, Where is the Most High, the power of Elijah? And when he also had smitten the waters, they parted hither and thither, and Elisha went over. I will introduce to you here that when you read the Torah, you see that it is filled with the Creator introducing differences. So you don't have to feel strange about being different, feeling different, thinking different, wanting to do something different. So people are always going to box you in this life, like they got this term, out of the box, be out of the box, stuff like that. People try to keep you in their group, in their clique, and just keep something tight with you there, and you got to just do everything they want the way they want and so on. But a lot of differences are introduced in the scriptures by the Creator, and the people in there show these differences. Let's look at a few of them. One, let there be. In Genesis chapter 1, let there be, let there be, let there be, and it was done, and the Most High looked at it at the end and said it was good. So let there be is different, because prior to that, all these other things weren't there. Number 2, Adam is not shown to be living in a house. Now, if you say the Creator is all-knowing, he knows all things, he knows the end from the beginning and so on, he knows that in the end, people will live in houses. Like today we live in houses, right? Like if you knew in the future people will be flying their own personal spacecrafts and won't be needing to take airplanes anymore and waiting in long lines and sitting and waiting because the flight was delayed and so on. But they'll be owning and flying their own mini aircraft for themselves and their family. And that aircraft can also, with the press of one button, collapse into itself, very small, like it's just, something you can slip in your wallet like a card. You press it again and step back and it just opens up into the aircraft. You can jump in and take off again. If you know that's the future, you wouldn't be working trying to make a bicycle and so on and a cart to pull your stuff. You would just put all your efforts into trying to make what you know the future will have, because nobody else may know this, so they'll go on making the bicycles and the bikes and the cars and so on. You're just going to the future, the end point. Well, if the Creator knows that people are going to be living in houses one day, why didn't He put Adam in a house? But it says He put him in a garden. So we see there how the Creator is approaching things different from how we would normally think of it. He puts him not in a house but in a garden. Number 3, 8 people are saved in the ark, where you would do it different, because you, if you're a regular religious person, you would try to save as many people as possible, but He saved just 8. 4, prophets came on the scene when there were already other wise men of their own and other nations and scientists available and people who were watching the stars. People were just trying to do their own thing to figure out this and that and all this strong meditation to find God and so on. And the prophets just came and just started to speak out, where people were more approaching a wise man up on a mountain in his meditation to go and hear what he had. But the prophets broke out, and instead of people coming to him, he broke out as a prophet and approached the people, reversing the seeking for the wise man. The prophet instead sought out the people, came and approached the people and presented. So the prophet was being different. So a prophet switched to show himself also as a fighter at some times, not just someone who was handling or teaching the word. And some of these people who were prophets who were fighting was like Jeremiah. We know, not Jeremiah, Nehemiah chapter 13, you can read how he started fighting. Elijah, he wasn't just simply handling the word, but, he took down the hundreds of prophets at Mount Carmel and he slew them all. And you're like, that's a different kind of picture of a prophet. Moses, he walked up to the Pharaoh as a prophet, then he walked out of Israel and started fighting a war, basically, and they helped him as he lifted up his hand and so on. So he wasn't just simply walking around talking and prophesying and speaking things, but he started to fight as well, split Red Sea, all kinds of stuff that the Torah says. He was just different. Nothing was going to stand in his way as long as he was following the Most High's leading. Number 6, Samson did not have a sword at this particular point when he grabbed the jawbone of an ass. But he basically told himself, I don't have a sword, but I will not lose this battle. So he did something different. Because if he is at a disadvantage, but he has decided he will not lose, then something different has to be introduced into the situation. So instead of losing, because he did not have the standard military weapon, he grabbed a jawbone of an ass and won a war. His strategy came out of using a dead thing that everyone else had walked by and said, this ass is dead, it has no more use to anyone. It can't carry our luggage, it can't carry us, can't help us in any way. Everybody said, this ass is dead, it's no use anymore. But he found a use for it that was strategic when his need came. But still, your situation today in 2017 convinces you that because it looks bad, life is over, when it really is not. Elijah said, stay here. Now, in the text we read, Elijah tried to get his servant Elisha to turn back and leave him alone. But Elisha did something other than obey the word of this prophet and his teacher. Normally we expect to do whatever the prophet says. I mean, if you're going to be raised up and if you're learning from, you just gotta, and that's all you've been taught all your life. In all these houses of religious worship, wherever you are, even if you're just learning online, somebody wants you to follow them to do what they are teaching you. And that's the normal way that we've been taught to function. But Elisha did something other than obey this prophet at this point. He broke from the instruction of the teacher in his life and said, I am not doing what you said. Because Elijah had told him, stay here, tarry here, wait here. Don't come with me where I'm going. I'm going into the future based on what the Most High said. But you shouldn't come into the future with me. Stay back. I'm going to leave you with all the past knowledge and all the past instruction that you have had because you followed me. But the future, you shouldn't have any more of this. Stay here. I taught you well for a long time, but the greatest lesson that's about to come in my life and in yours, you're not going to get that from me. Stay here. But Elisha said, I'm coming with you. I'm not doing what you said. You see, there comes a point where you realize your teacher that you have learned from and helped and served and paid into their ministry, paid into their strategy, supported all of their thoughts and their movements. There comes a point where you realize that you just can't stay here anymore. Because the teacher's job should be to take you to the point where you can understand that you are not hearing from your teacher to hear from the Most High, but you are supposed to hear from the Most High for yourself. So if the teacher does his or her job properly, you should get to the point where you connect with the Most High without that teacher, because growth has happened. And so if Elisha said, no, I'm not going to stay here, I'm coming with you, you think the understanding in the text is that Elisha was following Elijah. He did that all his life. He wasn't at this point following Elijah anymore, although the text is shown that he walked with him and they two went. Right here, he is not following him anymore. The police officer says, oh, the bridge is out there. Take that road down there, and that's a detour. Everybody starts to go in front of you, so you go. You look like you're still following the next person that's in front of you. You aren't following them. You're going where you need to go, but you just need to take that route. So Elisha is no longer following Elijah just because they're going on the same journey. Elisha has now given up the journey that he had been on all his life while following Elijah and is now going on his own journey. It's just that he is still walking the same path with the man, but Elisha is now on his own journey. So Elisha stopped following and serving his master and teacher Elijah the moment that he heard he was leaving. The moment he heard he was going to be taken up into heaven, Elisha stopped following Elijah. But you wait more time. And for some of you, 10, 15, 20 years ago, you knew back then it was time to go, but you're still there and you became nothing that you should be, because you kept following someone else and not what the Most High was doing in your heart. So Elisha looked like he was still following Elijah because he was still traveling with him. And so by traveling with him, everything still looked normal. Someone from a distance would say, oh, there they two go again. The servant is walking with the master. The servant is still learning from him. No, the servant was now on his own journey. So he was still carrying the stuff of Elijah and serving him. But now Elisha, while he looked to be doing the same was now following his own dream, his own mind, his own thoughts. Elisha's change in his life happened when he followed his own desire and did something different from what the prophet Elijah said to him when he said, "Tarry here." The future of Israel in captivity today and in your own life and the lives of your children will not happen till you do something different from how it has been done all along. Even if Israel today is going to get its message out to more people, we have to have some of us rise to the point where we even present the Torah in a different way, where it is more appealing to the listener. Now, you think that you should do what you've always been taught, to curse white people. But didn't you read, I'm not going to stop now, but didn't you read where Isaiah said these nations are going to come with us and they're going to carry our children with us and so on? That means those who are not of your nation are going to travel with you. So how can they all be against you if the Torah is saying that they're going to be traveling with you? That means there are some people out there who don't look like you, who don't think like you. All they need is a presentation of your Torah to understand that this is what they want. All they need is a presentation of your Torah to understand that this is what they want. But when you keep cursing them, they will never come on board because they can't stand your message. But you have to do something different, because that is what the Torah teaches. It teaches difference. But we have been taught about sameness. Because the Torah says, keep this feast on a certain day, we think we always have to be same. Not in every way. Sometimes you got to be different in certain things, to think different, to find some new movement in your life. Now I'll read one last scripture. Exodus chapter 20 and verse 18. Hear what it says. We know Exodus 20 is listing out the 10 commandments. Verse 18 says, "And all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off." Torah shows other gods sitting lifeless and dumb. Jeremiah 10 has the Most High saying, these gods, they don't move, they don't think for themselves, they can't help themselves, they neither walk nor talk, stuff like that. But the Torah is showing a difference here, where unlike those other gods that don't do anything, the God of the Torah, as we've normally called him, but the Creator, did something different. He came down on Mount Sinai different from how other gods were seen. He came down with rumblings, thunderings, and lightnings. Again, he did something different, captivated in one move the minds of every Israelite. And even today, people still wonder about the mystery of such a happening. The Torah is telling you to be different. You've heard all your life, stay here, don't think that, don't carry that out, don't execute that plan, you can't do it, you can't pull it off. They're telling you, stay here. Question is, are you going to do something different?